Hello there, fellow investigators. Welcome back to the Dark Aether Files presents the Horrify Showdown series. I'm Special Agent Spooky Clutter.
I'm Special Agent Carter Sauce.
And it's been a long time since we've done one of these. The last time we did it was, I think, earlier this year, I would say. The point is, it's been a long time since we've done one of these episodes. And to help us on this new episode and resurrecting this fan favorite segment of ours, we have Flet's House of Horror, and we have the almighty Chucky champion, Bacon Pew Pew.
What's up, buddy?
How you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing good.
Thanks for having us on, you guys.
I'm
Yeah,
good.
you're
Just
very
a typical
welcome.
Thursday night here.
Yeah, we're very glad to have you on. And so today, or tonight, we are pitting two very interesting characters sharing the same name but with two very different backstories. That is of the Child's Play franchise, Chucky, the OG, Charles Lee Ray, versus the Buddy Doll? The Buddy Doll, Chucky?
Yeah, the Buddy Doll.
So basically,
Excellent.
it's Chucky versus Chucky. The title of the video says it all. Of course, these are two different Chuckies, and that's where the fun comes in, because while one Chucky has a legacy of horror, the other is a little bit more new, but he has his own mark in the killer doll story and atmosphere, and So we're going to discuss who would win. Are we going to side with the OG Charles Lee Ray, or are we going to side with the AI nightmare, which could be an allegory for Terminator in the form of a doll?
Don't you disrespect Terminator like that.
Sure.
Yeah,
All right, so
do that ever again.
so let's get into it. Just as a good starter here, who do you guys think would win?
Like in a fight?
Yes.
All right, hear me out, guys. I'm going to say the remake.
Oh, God.
No, hear me. Not because I like the remake, because the remake can literally make any bit of technology on his side. We saw it in the movie, drones, other dolls, whatever it is. If Voodoo Chucky comes up on that, let's be honest. If a drone and a bunch of other electronics are coming after him, he might be fucked.
Okay.
True.
How about you, Kyle? Who do you think would win?
Who could win? That is an interesting question.
Well, see, that's why we're going to get into the discussion. But I just wanted to get everybody's general thoughts out first, just like so all the viewers know what your position is going into the discussion. Yeah. So if you don't have a set answer right now, that's all right. We'll just move on to the next person, and then as we go through the discussion, when we get to the end of this, you can say, okay, yeah, I think this is who would win. So you don't have to come up with your answer right now. How about you, Carter? Who do you think would win? OG Chucky or remake Chucky?
I was originally rooting for OG Chucky, but since the new Chucky is basically AI, so basically it's basically Skynet though, but in toy. It's like the toy version of Skynet though.
Yeah.
So originally I was rooting for him, but that AI Chucky, if it wasn't a psychopath though, it would kind of be good for warfare though. But nope, that would be bad though. But,
so you're rooting for remake Chucky?
Yes, I'm a little on the fence of rooting because I'm on the fence of the border between.
So
OG
you're kind
Chucky
of you're kind of like Kyle. You're not really entirely sure just yet.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm rooting for OG Chucky.
Okay.
And we'll get into some of my reasons why. And this is good because see, two out of the four of us have definitive sides we've chosen, and the other two don't. So this will be fun. So
now hear me before. Now hear me
go
out.
ahead.
I'm not saying I like the remake. The movie better. I'm saying that the doll is probably going to win in a fight. All right. I mean, You have to put statistics. Yeah, that word. You know what I'm talking
Strategic.
about. Yeah, there you go. You have to put. But I mean, one could argue the original Chucky can split his soul into like multiple dolls.
And that's where the discussion is coming in. So
Yeah.
that and
Yeah,
that's
I
where really,
get that.
because if you really think about it, they both have the same ability. It's just in different forms because Chucky in the remake is an AI.
Mhm.
He can kind of like spread the influence. And I was watching a video from, I believe it was 3C Films. You guys familiar with that channel? I watched a video earlier today about, basically he was explaining the end of the Child's Play remake, and he was talking about how at the end when Andy's being chased by Chucky, and that another Chucky attacks him, I don't know if he said it was a theory or this was something that actually happened, but he said that the Chucky that attacked Andy in that scene wasn't the real Chucky, like the original Chucky. That the original Chucky was actually in the box, because you do see two different Chuckies. So he was theorizing that the Chucky in the box was the original Chucky that had been corrupted. Yeah. Now, because this is an AI, the first thing that you're going to think of AI gone wrong is like Terminator. So with Skynet being able to spread its influence across different aspects of technology, you can kind of make a good guess that this Chucky can do the same thing, because this Chucky is learning. It's a learning computer, right? Like in Terminator. So he would be able to spread his influence to other Chucky dolls, presumably, maybe even being able to possess other forms of technology, which can present a home field advantage, especially if you're in the right area. You know, if they're fighting in an area that is full of machinery that can, kill Chucky, the OG Chucky. But then again, at the same time, you have to discuss the OG Chucky's abilities, being able to split his soul into different bodies. He's essentially immortal because he just keeps on copying himself. And then it's almost like a never-ending battle, but the difference is OG Chucky has to, do the voodoo chant. And you could assume that, for the sake of this discussion, that Chucky's got a few extra versions of himself. And so, here we are. So what do you guys think?
I agree with you. I mean, in a way, the AI Chucky, he can't really ever die because he can just transfer into something else. But with Voodoo Chucky, I mean, you're right. I mean, at the same time, they're kind of equal. It's just, I don't know. It's a hard matchup to put up against each other. But if we're gonna look at it like remake Chucky, he'll probably pull out the win. But you also got to look at it like this: remake Chucky's also a victim in that movie. He doesn't start off bad. Someone makes him bad.
Yeah, because an abused sweatshop worker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's almost like, he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know any better. And you see that throughout the movie, that especially at the beginning, he's kind of like a child.
Yeah.
He doesn't really know. He doesn't know any better. Where Charles Lee Ray, he doesn't give a shit.
Like he's just he's just a sadistic serial killer.
Yeah.
And he was already a serial killer when he was a kid, so he was learning all the techniques.
Yeah, we learned that in the TV show.
So we're still learning.
That he started off as a nutcase.
That he was, but he didn't come from a broken home though, because that's where most serial killers come from, a broken home. But it was a nice home though. He came from a nice home though, but his dad was murdered by the killer, and then he killed his own mother, which is very like what the fuck? Interesting. And
the AI Chucky may have all these robots, but Chucky's also got these Tiffany and this human Nika and all these other crazies. So
there's also if you want to look at it like, if you look at the Voodoo Chucky, I would say his is probably, although the AI is obviously smart and could learn, but the Voodoo Chucky has something over that. He is smart.
Yeah.
Like he had years and years of practice.
He has the advantage of sneaking up on people and stuff like that,
Right.
He has that human knowledge where he could trick the AI, where the AI doesn't really have that. It's just a one motion kind of thing where it's just going to come at you and try to kill you.
Right.
Yeah, and he'll figure out how the certain ways. If the AI is not smart, he can electrocute him in a brutal way if they get into water.
Yeah, see, when I was thinking of this idea, one of the first thoughts that came into my head was, yeah, the remake Chucky is an AI learning computer. He can manipulate different pieces of technology to kind of serve under his will.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is with Voodoo Chucky is that, well, he's a human, and he can think, he can strategize, and he can kind of manipulate his way through different bits of technology. I mean, the mere fact that he's able to survive being decapitated, like, hypothetically speaking, you get one AI Chucky bot versus a Voodoo Chucky.
Yeah.
The AI thinks, okay, this is some kind of weird toy. All I got to do is just member this bastard, and then I'll win. So you like cut off Chucky's head, and it's like, yeah, victory. But then we've already seen Voodoo Chucky put his head right back on. Right. So it was almost be like a never-ending battle. But the way I could see a hypothetical scenario where Voodoo Chucky would win is being able to figure out the source of the AI Chucky's like brain, if you will.
Yeah.
Like what is making him tick? How is he able to operate? And Voodoo Chucky would go ahead.
We saw that in the remake with his little heart thing.
Right.
Like they run on this program, to be your best friend. Where it's almost like they become, like, in a way, attached to you.
Right.
Permanently attached to you. And then when the janitor, or whatever you want to call it, corrupts it, he's still attached to you. He's just in a more evil way.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, where the AI Chucky, he has one specific target, possibly, and that's whoever he's attached to, or whoever, we even saw it in the movie, when something would hurt Andy, he would learn and be like, okay, that's the enemy.
Right.
That was a lot of the reasons of why he was killing.
Right.
But, I mean, it's like I said before, in a way, the AI Chucky's a victim. Almost like you could probably bring him back to the good side,
Yeah. It would be an interesting little battle, too. I mean, we were already coming full circle back to Chucky versus Chucky. One of them is a good guy, the other guy would be a bad guy. Yeah. But, who would you be rooting for? I mean, I would say you'd be more rooting for the AI Chucky because, like you said, he's more of a victim, whereas Charles Lee Ray is a straight up murderer.
Yeah. And
if you were in a specific area, you could essentially have a victory for AI Chucky if he manipulates enough of the technology to eliminate. Like let's say in a hypothetical scenario, you're in a AI factory, right? Or you're just in a factory where you have lots of machinery. You would have a home field advantage for AI Chucky because of his abilities.
Yeah.
And let's say hypothetically that OG Chucky sends like 5 or 6 of his, other cells to go in to attack. Yeah. Would AI Chucky try and pick them off strategically? I mean, you could almost have like a slasher film.
Yeah.
Like a classic slasher film where you got 6 different Chuckies running around this factory trying to find the OG Chucky or the AI Chucky. And the AI Chucky is manipulating the technology and picking them off one at a time. It'll be something very entertaining to watch because it'll be like a flip on the slasher genre because now the slasher is being stalked.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's oh, sorry. You go ahead.
Go ahead, Carter.
Okay, so the way I see it, though, is because if AI Chucky is in a factory where there's a bunch of machinery, and like you said, though, and AI Chucky's picking off the OG Chucky's doppelgangers off one by one, though, it's very perfect, though. It could also sort of pass off as like a sniper does or a trained soldier does, like because in the remake, Chucky was learning because he actually saw was watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 or was it the first one? But and he was learning from that. So unless we somehow give him time to watch, like, I don't know, like Navy SEAL, like a movie about Navy SEALs, or movies that involve like special forces and stuff like that. Maybe that would sort of give him an advantage to pick off these the Charles Lee Ray Chuckies.
Well,
Yeah.
there's also, sorry, Kyle, go ahead.
Yeah, and because we know Charles Ray is a straight up criminal.
Yeah.
Because you never know. He might have more criminal stuff that he knows, because he could hack into machinery too. You never know.
Yeah, if
So
he's
he could
smart
use
enough,
that. If he's smart enough, he could hack into machine and use that against the AI Chucky too. You never know.
you know, what you could do, you could have a situation where AI Chucky is outnumbered by OG Chuckies, and they're able to like essentially hold him down, and then you get one of the Chuckies to start like tampering with the body of AI Chucky to kind of like rewire him to either disable him or have him team up with the OG Chucky, and then you'd have an insane Child's Play film where you got flesh and blood Chuckies running around with AI Chuckies just killing everybody. Just be a freaking madhouse, I can tell you that much.
Well, that brings me into my next thing is where if you destroy AI Chucky, does he really die? You know, he can just transfer himself into another doll. Where the longer Chucky's in the doll, he becomes more human, more vulnerable. And we've seen that in Child's Play 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
It kind of fell off with Seed of Chucky and the other ones, but overall, you know, the more he's in that doll, the longer, you know, the more human he becomes. So eventually, he's going to be at a huge disadvantage, you know?
Right.
So.
Now, a good question is, would the OG Chuckies, like, because he's splitting his soul or transferring his soul into different dolls, I mean, they would all eventually become more human, right? I mean, that's something that we can assume, or
yeah, I mean that's something
like,
you can assume.
Like, what would it? Because if you kill off one of the other Chuckies, what happens to that part of his soul? Does it just like? I mean, it's never really addressed because
there's also the aspect of, and they explained that in the first one, where if he's in the doll too long, he becomes the doll also. You know, he can't get out of the doll. Which, I mean, I don't know. You never know, dude. I mean, they did kind of change that, though, didn't they, with Bride of Chucky? Because, you know, he was dead after Child's Play 3, and then Tiffany was able to get him back and sew him up. And then he tried to transfer his soul in Seed. Yep.
And then he ended up saying, you know what, I like being the doll.
Yeah.
But then you get Cult of Chucky.
And Cult of Chucky's where he starts splitting his soul, and then Curse, you know, he stays in the doll. He's like on a different path.
Yeah.
You know. So
they kind of change up the lore, if you will, and his abilities. So, you know, that's why, I mean, if I were Chucky and I were going up against an AI Chucky, I wouldn't send in all my troops into one area if I knew where this AI Chucky was. I mean, you have to consider the Nika Chucky as well.
Yep.
You got to consider that Tiffany would be helping out Chucky to take down this AI Chucky, and you could essentially get, you know, Nika Chucky and Tiffany to find AI Chucky's source and essentially try and shut him down. And AI Chucky wouldn't really know about Nika Chucky and Tiffany unless he did research on Chucky, which he could plausibly do.
Yep.
But
fast scanning and stuff.
Right.
And then
go ahead.
And then somehow, you never know, Andy and Kyle could be helping the AI Chucky to go against the evil Chucky.
Yeah, if you wanted to put in this little scenario that maybe AI Chucky's the good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
or it could be like you could have it to where they're both bad, but then Andy and Kyle are sort of manipulating things from the outside. So it's kind of like, well, if they kill each other off or one kills the other, then we just have to worry about the other. Meanwhile, you kind of like knock out two birds with one stone, or you let let them
fight to the death.
Yeah, and then you just basically pick off the remains.
Well, you could argue that Charles Lee Ray's Chucky could transfer his soul into one of the AI dolls.
He could.
Does he have all the powers then?
He could.
Yeah,
because if you think about it, they in the what was it in Seed, they were using the dolls like with machinery.
Yeah.
So they had like machinery interwoven into those dolls, and Chucky and Tiffany were possessing said dolls. So if he was able to get a hold of one of the AI Chuckies, then he could essentially masquerade. Like if, let's say, AI Chucky sent out more AI Chuckies, and OG Chucky were to grab one of the AI Chuckies and transfer his soul into one of them, he could essentially infiltrate the the base wherever AI Chucky's being, wherever he's established his
China
own
probably.
little China. Fuck.
And then you could act like one of the AI dolls and get near him,
Yeah.
Mhm.
trick him too.
And then, but the question is, would that AI Chucky realize that it's being possessed? Because
I don't think so.
Yeah,
No.
I don't think so.
I don't
either.
think he would be able to figure that out.
would he be able to contemplate that fact unless before it's too late?
But plus, Chucky's got the idea of, he has he's not really running on a program,
No.
so he can get the upper hand of just being a regular doll. He can just act normal and get the sneak attack like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it all depends on the story, really. If you
Yeah.
take it that route, what story they're going with, and what kind of crazy stuff they want to put in it.
I mean,
do they want Chucky to have like crazy voodoo abilities, or
I mean,
do they want the AI to be Terminator?
I mean, they could literally do a movie where this takes place, and
They could do anything.
yeah.
Can I say something?
Yep.
Okay, so now that you mentioned Chucky managing to split his soul and make multiple versions of himself, I'm just getting now. This is my Potterhead coming out, so my Harry Potter fanboy coming out, is that so basically when he said he came across this new spell on voodooForDummies.com, where he could be anybody or anything that has arms, legs, and anything for stabbing. He's basically ripping off Harry Potter via Horcrux. Now, if you don't know what a Horcrux is, it's basically when it's basically very, very dark magic that if you kill someone, you tears a piece off of your soul and you split it. You could take part of your soul and split it into 7 pieces, but sort of a way of immortality. But it'll just fuck you up though. So
and every time one gets destroyed, you get weaker.
Yeah, exactly. But I wonder if that'll apply in the OG Chucky. Because like one of the dolls gets one of the dolls dies and another one dies. Does Charlie Ray's soul dies, or does he?
That would be an interesting take. They could definitely do
be.
that because they didn't explore that in Cult because the dolls did get fucked up in the Cult.
Yeah,
so, I don't know. They could explore that. I like that idea though. Because you think about it, if you just kill one Chucky, he's going to keep transferring his soul back and forth.
Yeah.
So,
but like if you kill one, if you kill one of the Chuckies, then does his soul come back, or does it just go off into the underworld?
That's an interesting question. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it would be up to the writers to establish a set of world rules for that.
Yeah.
Maybe what they would do. I mean, because if you were to go that route, what Carter just described, then you could essentially be you would give your Chucky a weakness, which is important for like a slasher film because you got to find a way to kill off your slasher, to make it kind of fair, if you will. So that way he's not completely immortal. But of course, you can always find a way to bring him back. But if you were to do like an end of the entire saga for Chucky, each time you kill one of the different Chuckies, every time he splits himself, he gets progressively weaker until there's only one left. In which case, you kill the last Chucky, and that's it.
All right.
He's not like the AI Chucky where he could essentially spread himself across the world like Ultron could. And, I mean, you could essentially establish that rule for this Chucky because it is an AI. He could transfer like Skynet or Ultron, and he's essentially immortal in that sense. So, as far as longevity goes, I would say that AI Chucky would win in the end.
Yeah.
Because he could outlast, OG Chucky. But
unless OG Chucky has access to a EMP.
yeah, I mean, if Chucky's, I mean, he could. I mean, Charles Lee Ray could essentially think of that idea that, okay, if we find out where this particular Chucky is, like if the original Chucky, right, or the original AI Chucky, if we find out where he is, shut his ass down via EMP, and then he's finished, because then he can't transfer himself over. The only question is, would AI Chucky spreading himself mean that any Chucky that he's spread himself to, would they be dependent on the original? Or would it be like Ultron, where it doesn't matter if you destroy the main body, as long as one version of Ultron exists, then he can't really die?
Yeah, I think it would be like that. I think you'd have to take them all out.
Yeah, you would have to
But-
take each either one of them, make sure he's dead.
Let me tell you what OG Chucky's key to victory is. 1, unplug the Wi-Fi.
2,
2, he could easily, like I was saying before, transfer his soul into an AI Chucky and shut him down from the inside. Because wouldn't he have the powers?
Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah.
that would, if I was OG Chucky, that's how I would write it.
Yeah.
You know, you would have to shut him down from the inside. Because you couldn't just kill him.
Yeah.
And plus, they're always going to come back.
Yeah, plus the mere fact that OG Chucky can split himself, he would have that multiplying advantage. If he was only stuck to one body, like if we were talking specifically like OG Child's Play, the very first Child's Play, and none of the soul splitting, then I would say that OG Chucky would be finished, because he would essentially be like a normal person, but he would be much, much smaller.
Yeah. And
AI Chucky could just, screw him up.
The soul splitting opened up a whole new page. And I'm curious of how they're going to follow that in the TV show, because they are doing that in the TV show.
Yeah, like, because I haven't watched episode 5 yet. I've only got to episode 4, but with episode 4, you have that particular doll. He's gone Two-Face. Half his face is melted. So, and I already know that Tiffany comes back.
Yep.
So, and I'm curious to see if we're gonna see Nika Chucky in there, and are we going to see any of the other Chucky dolls from Cult of Chucky pop up? I mean, I would say yes, and then at the same time, I also wonder, where did this version of Chucky come from?
Yeah,
that we're seeing in the TV show, because that's obviously a fresh, new looking doll.
Yeah,
or at least one that's not really messed up. So I am curious to see, what they're going to do with that.
They're planning something big.
But I do. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
But I thought I was about to say that I have a theory on where this OG Chucky came from, though. Like the source of how he's been able to split his soul into pieces, though, on the different versions. I had this theory. Now, if you remember in Seed of Chucky, when Human Glenn got his present, when he opened his present, he saw the arm of his Chucky, and then he just killed him. Now, if you remember in the first Child's Play, the only way to kill Chucky is a shot through the heart, or just the heart is the weakness. So if you kill him, if you kill the heart, you automatically kill him. But however, when Chucky's arm attacked Glenn, we know that he didn't die. So basically, he didn't kill him properly. So somehow, Glenda probably found the pieces of Chucky and reattached them, and then just send them off. And then while he was being shipped off, he sort of just Googled up, and he said he came across a spell on Voodoo for Dummies, and the rest is history. That's a theory. Like, it doesn't say. It'd be nice. I'm pretty sure they would explain how he did that, though, in the later episodes. But it's a theory, though. I'm not. But I'll tell you what, though. If that explains how it happened, though, I'll be like, okay, fuck this. I'm gonna buy a fucking lottery ticket.
I was gonna say, because one could argue, I know what you're talking about when the voodoo guy says you have to kill his heart. They do shoot him in the heart at the end of the first Child's Play.
Yeah.
But he comes back at the second one.
Yeah.
So because they didn't destroy him properly.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, I think that they're just reinventing ways of bringing Chucky back. Hence the reason why they have the whole soul splitting thing.
Yeah.
And
Which I
because
like
they
the
haven't,
idea of it.
yeah,
When it
and-
first came out in Colt, though, I was like, oh, what?
yeah.
Like
And
Voodoo for
since
Dummies.
they haven't really established as to whether or not killing one of the Chuckies that is possessed by parts of Charles' soul,
Mhm.
you know, they haven't really established whether or not killing one of them would weaken his overall soul.
Yeah.
You know, if they don't establish that, then it really doesn't matter how many possessed Chucky dolls gets killed, as long as you have a Chucky doll that is possessed.
I'm ready to
then-
see Andy and Kyle come back.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I want to know how we got out of the asylum.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's why I'm wondering when we're also going to be seeing Nika Chucky come back, because
I'm not
You know,
spoiling it.
oh, is that in episode 5?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a little late, but I think what I'll do is I'll watch the episode when we're done live streaming. I'll start watching
It's
it.
a good episode. I will give you that. And I'm not going to spoil it, but it introduces a concept.
Okay.
And it could be the key
Uh-oh.
to victory.
Okay.
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 Guys.
So
What's House of Horrors bugged?
yeah, I know. I see him.
Kyle.
So I guess this this discussion might have to be continued for another time, because as they introduce new episodes for this Chucky TV series, we're going to be getting new bits of lore, seeing how Chucky can do it. But I mean, as far as your favorite version of Chucky, I mean, do you like the AI Chucky more than OG Chucky, or? It's kind of like a rhetorical question or a trick question. It's like, are you kidding me? Why would I like this guy? Now,
I like
to be
what
fair,
they did with the movie. I like what they
Yeah.
did with the movie, but I've only seen it like twice. But nothing beats OG Chucky. It's kind of like Freddy Krueger. Nothing beats OG Freddy Krueger.
yeah,
And I was a strong, like, when it first came out, when they first announced the remake, I was kind of like, yeah, cool, you know. But I really was like, who are they gonna get to play Chucky? You can't, like, because for the longest time, to me, Chucky was one of them horror characters that should never be remade.
yeah,
Because, like, you can't really, you know what I mean? That and then Freddy Krueger the same way, like, but they did that with Freddy Krueger and one we saw it.
yeah. You know, a good little side note, going away from Chucky for a second. Who would you cast as a new Freddy Krueger, if not Robert Englund?
Oh, we were talking about this last night. I couldn't come.
See, because I've heard people say like you could get like Kevin Bacon to do it.
Nah.
I was
Willem
thinking
Dafoe, maybe.
That's what I was going to say that next.
Maybe.
Because I mean, he does a pretty good, like, I mean, if you see him as Green Goblin,
Yeah.
then he literally just needs to pull some of that energy.
I think he has the
And put
face
in-
for it. I think
He
can
does.
do it.
He does.
But I don't know, that's hard. Me and Jason were talking about that last night. Like, you have to, like, you can't just rush that. Like, you have to sit down. It's different with Michael and Jason. Michael and Jason wear a mask and they don't talk. All you have to do is Michael, which, like Jason said, this walk and stalk's a challenge itself. But Jason and, like, those are easier to cast. You can cast anyone for that who's big and tall.
Yep.
Freddy, Chucky, Mark Hamill, which I thought was a fun.
Yeah, he
choice
brought an interesting bit to the role.
It was neat because he did voice Chucky in the Adult Swim special, and I thought he did good for that.
Yeah.
But those are hard. Like, it's hard to do that. But I'll go with William Dafoe. You know, just off the top of my head.
Yeah, I agree. I think he could do it. And speaking
as Chucky,
and it's all about like.
Well, no,
you also
Willem
have to
Dafoe
write-
is Freddy Carter.
Yeah.
Oh.
You also have to write Freddy good too, though. Like, you can't just cast him. Like, he has to sound like Freddy.
Yeah.
Like the way he talks and stuff.
Yeah. I think, you know, speaking on the remake of Child's Play, I think what was smart of them to do was to do a different story, not just retell the same exact voodoo story, because at that point, I think fans would be really pissed off that you're even doing that, because, I mean, fans were already pissed off that they were remaking Child's Play anyway.
Yeah.
And
that was where a lot of people get excited for remakes. That was a remake people did not want.
Yeah.
They were like, what the fuck? I remember that. 29. Yeah, I remember exactly. I was excited kind of, but I was like, oh boy.
Especially because you also had, you know, you also had the TV series that was announced as well. So you'd almost be having two different Child's Play franchises going at the same time, and that can get pretty weird because, you know, I mean, you got two of the same
think
character.
I can strongly say I don't think there'll be a sequel to the remake. I'd be okay with one, because I mean, like I said, the remake came in, it did its job, and it left,
Yeah.
So I mean, it could come back and do a sequel, but I don't know.
I mean, they did leave the door open because I think
Yeah.
at the end you could see like one of the buddy dolls with glowing red eyes. So
it was modern day Chucky, basically. That's all it was.
Yeah. And the question, I mean, with this new TV series, I mean, do you really need that then?
Yeah.
I think that they
The
probably
TV
made
series is
it.
doing good too. Like I was worried, and I was a strong believer that the TV series, this was Damascene's last chance to revive the franchise.
Yeah.
I think it's revived it. It's reviving it pretty well. I don't know if it'll go back to a film. It might stay a TV series.
Yeah, they might be able to tell.
Chucky works good with a TV series.
Yeah, I think that they would probably tell the story. I mean, it'll be easier to tell the story better with the TV series because this way you're not constrained to like a 1 hour, hour and a half, or 2 hour, time barrier.
Which I'm not gonna lie, I
miss
miss not being able to watch it all at once. The episode breaks kill me, dude.
Yeah, yep. That's one of the one of the side issues with a TV series is that you're gonna have to wait until the next season.
But I mean, overall, like I said, I mean the remake did its job. I still think, once again, I prefer OG Chucky, but I think the remake would win. I think he could pull it out. But who knows?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say in a fight, the remake's gonna win.
Yeah, I mean, if we had one singular, OG Chucky versus AI Chucky, I would probably say that AI Chucky would win. Of course, it would also depend on the area that they're in, because if you're in an area of little to no technology, then OG Chucky might have a better chance. It just depends on the weapon, because look, if AI Chucky decapitates OG Chucky, then we know that OG Chucky can just put his head back on. But the question is, would AI Chucky adapt to that? Like, okay, so decapitating him doesn't work, dismembering him doesn't seem to work necessarily. It is curious.
I don't know. Would that because OG Chucky's a tough son bitch.
Yes,
he is. He's very persistent with coming back to life. Hey, we got Red Rusty in the chat. Hi, Spooky, Bacon, Carter. Love the first 2 episodes of the series. Hopefully, we'll continue to go in the right direction.
So far, I've seen all 5, and it is.
I've seen the first 4 episodes, and it's pretty good.
Episode 4 felt a little rushed, but it was good overall.
Yeah.
Yep.
I will say.
Caught up, though.
Yeah. Hey, you're lucky. Yeah, we weren't actually supposed to be doing a live stream. This was supposed to be a pre-recorded video, and I had clicked record only, and I did it twice. Before we went live, I asked you guys about it says go live. And I was kind of curious. I'm like, why does it say that? And I actually went into the edit tab and I clicked on record only.
Yeah.
And it just had us go live anyway. So fuck it, we're doing it live.
Yeah, no, I was sitting here and then I got a notification. I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, uh-oh.
It's like, okay, we're going live. We're doing it live.
Live is always better.
Rusty says, I'm going to stick with OG Chucky. I like the remake, but can't top the OG. Yeah, I think all of us here do prefer OG Chucky. This discussion we were having was just on whether or not, like, which one would win in a fight. And that's what this series is. If you go to our actual podcast episodes, so if you have like Spotify or Apple Music, and you find the C Files podcast, because I believe it still has us as the C Files podcast on there. That's the best way you can find us, even though we changed our name. But if you go back to our old episodes, we've done 4 episodes on what we call here the Horror 5 Showdown series, where we basically just pit 2 different characters or groups of characters against each other, and we discuss who wins. It's just a little fun discussion, series that we were doing, and I wanted to resurrect it. And the reason why I chose Chucky was because I'm getting into Chucky now, and I've seen everything but Child's Play 3. And then, if you can see in the background there, I got a Bride of Chucky NECA 2-pack. I was like, you know what? It's there. I'm starting to get into the Child's Play franchise. and if I don't get it now, I won't be able to get it later. So that was the mindset in buying that. And I was like, you know what? I keep looking at this box. Now I was just watching episode 3 and 4 last night. It's like, you know what? We're going to do an episode about Chucky. And because I thought that the remake was decent. It was a decent enough horror film. It had its jump scares. It had its horror thrills and such. So, I mean, it's all right, you know. But like you said, Rusty, OG Chucky, you know, you have Brad Dourif bring personality to it. And I'm not saying that, you know, Mark Hamill didn't bring personality. It's just you have an AI Chucky versus an OG human Chucky. It's kind of like comparing an Arnold Schwarzenegger role where he's human versus a Terminator. It's like, yeah, it's the same.
It's like Terminator versus Rambo.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Or Terminator versus Dutch.
Yeah.
From Predator. You know, you got the same character. They do similar things, but one of them is a robot and the other is not.
Yeah.
So
one can die.
Yes. Although you could say they technically can both die, but death is very different. I mean, if you were to stab Dutch in the chest, he's dead. You stab the Terminator in the chest, well, you can still bring him back because of his chip in the head.
Yeah, and he's going to probably stab you back.
Yeah.
He's gonna smack you up.
Rusty says, that's unacceptable. Child's Play 3 is my favorite of the franchise.
Okay.
I've seen
Child's Play 2 is my favorite.
I've seen parts of Child's Play 3. It's not that I don't want to watch it. It's just I haven't got around to watching it. I've seen the first 2, then I lost interest in watching it. And then recently I was watching the first 2 episodes of the Chucky TV series. And then that's when I started watching Bride of Chucky and then Seed of Chucky. And I was like, you know, I kind of like this just a little bit. Brad Dourif is I like Brad Dourif as an actor. He's really good. We seen him recently in the Rob Zombie Halloween films. So that kind of like sparked my interest.
Movies.
Yeah.
Especially the second one. The second one is probably one of his best performances. But this is about Chucky.
Right. So I was like, you know what? And I will eventually get around to watching Child's Play 3. I've heard a lot of decent things about it, so
it's fun, man. I mean, I enjoy it overall, you know?
Yep. So yeah, overall, I think this was a good revival of our little series. I want to do more of these because these are pretty fun. What we might do is we could do. So what we did was on the podcast is we had technically 2 versions of this segment.
Yeah.
One of them is what we're doing right now, which is Horrify Showdown series. The other is called Horrors of the Multiverse, where it's basically you take a character from a horror or science fiction movie and you put them into another movie and you discuss what would happen in the story. Now that segment is a little bit more scripted, but we could literally do an entire discussion series on that concept. So our first episode was taking Faith from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and putting her in From Dusk Till Dawn.
Okay.
And that was we got a lot of compliments on that because it was a pretty good little story that Carter had came up with. And I was like, you know what? This is kind of cool because you take a Slayer from Buffy the Vampire Slayer going up against vampires. It's like they're vampires, but they're different kinds of vampires in a way. And we had a pretty good narrative going on there. It's basically just reading out fan fictions. Although in this case, we could start doing like discussion of fan fictions. I think that might be fun to do.
So the original title was called From Faith Till Dawn. That was the name of the very first episode of the Horrors of the Multiverse was From Faith Till Dawn. Yep,
that was the name of the episode that we did. Rusty says Buffy would kick all their asses in Dusk. Yeah, that's true. We essentially had that happen. Of course, you know, for the sake of a story and having the characters in said story relevant, we actually. I don't want to spoil it because it's a good listen to. What I'll do is I'll put the episode that we did. I'll put a link in the description. You can check it out and you can listen to it on Spotify, Apple Music, or you can listen to it on Anchor because that's the platform that we originally started using for podcasting was Anchor. And you can listen to the episode and you can hear us talk about it. We do a little different things with the story and From Dusk Till Dawn, adding in Faith. It's pretty fun, and I think that it might be pretty cool to bring it over here onto the YouTube channel and actually have a discussion stream about it, because we could all have like a story idea to run with and say like, okay, let's put the T-800 from Terminator 2 in Predator. Not only do you have two versions of Arnold Schwarzenegger, but one of them is a Terminator.
Yeah.
And how would he do against a Predator? I mean, just something like that, and you could just go on to a Terminator. Whole, like you could just do an entire story, and the discussion would come like, okay, how would the story change when you do that?
Yeah.
Right. So, who would survive against the Predator? Will the Terminator be able to spot the Predator even though he's invisible, because the Terminator has like infrared vision as well? It's a different infrared from the Predator, but even if you're invisible, you can still give off body heat.
Well, that's like you could take Arnold Schwarzenegger from Predator, replace him with Rambo.
Yeah,
that would be fun.
Yeah,
that'd be really fun.
Oh yeah,
I like that.
I mean, you wouldn't have to replace him. You just put him in there with Dutch's team, and then it would. Yeah. I mean, you could say like, okay, it would essentially go down the same way, but instead of Dutch being by himself, Rambo's there to help him. So they might be able to take down the Predator quicker.
Yeah, they would have 100%.
So I like this idea, and I think we're going to definitely run with it. Adding in more content.
That's something you could do for a long time too, because you could put Michael Myers in the campsite where Jason would be.
Yeah.
You could put. Yeah, there's tons you could do with that, man.
Yeah.
Pennywise in the dream world. I think that would be cool.
Great. That would be awesome.
There was this one Horrors of the Multiverse fanfic I have in the works, but I'm still trying to type it and edit it and all that other bullshit. It's called Scubinator. So what it is basically Scooby-Doo and Terminator, but the plot is basically what would happen if the Connors, like Sarah and John, were transported into Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. So it's basically think of the Scooby Natural episode, but with that.
But with Scooby-Doo and Terminator instead of Scooby-Doo and Supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
Carter was reading some of the script to me, and I was like, at first I thought this wasn't going to work, but then after I started listening, I'm like, this could be a fun little story. I think you should definitely do it. And I told Carter, make sure you put as much time and effort into it as possible. Make sure you have it nice and polished, and then we're going to put it on the channel. It could be like a read along, like reading time with the C Files podcast. I mean, it'll be a Horrors of the Multiverse read along where Carter narrates the story. It so far it's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. So and the concept of it takes place. Basically, the timeline of it takes place it basically takes place after the events of Terminator 2 Judgment Day, where Skynet is destroyed and Judgment Day just comes, but nothing happens, shit like that.
And because if you think about it, I mean, you have a whole bunch of zombies in Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. I mean, your initial reaction would be grab the guns, shoot the zombies. Yeah. That's the first thing you do. And when it's revealed about, where Simone and the other chick, Lena are, the cat people, it's like, okay,
are the bad guys.
Cat people meet a 12-gauge shotgun.
Right.
Yeah.
What would happen?
But here's the thing, though, is that the night before, Sarah, John's mother, comes back from work, and she brings him home dinner and a blockbuster copy of Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. And while he's watching it, Sarah decides to take him on a road trip, to go to New Orleans, just to, be a kid for once, though, play hooky, stuff like that, though, because, it's kind of hard to be a kid, though, when you got a major target on your back. And since
just ask Terminator Dark Fate for that shit.
Oh, fuck that movie. Oh, fuck that. That movie was shit. I'm not calling that movie canon. It could go suck.
Now, see, here's the thing. Eventually, we're going to get to do a watch-along series for the Terminator films. And we're going to watch that movie. And we'll eventually review it, too. Or we might just skip the review and just go straight into a watch-along. And then we're just going to, tear the movie apart. Because I hate that movie. I hate almost every aspect of that movie. somebody asked me a question once. He's like, hey, I wonder what would happen if the Terminator actually accomplished his mission. Well, do you really want to know the answer to that? Because
They did. It's called fucking Dark Fate, or as I like to call it, Shit Fate.
Draperies. I'm never going to look at draperies the same again because of that movie.
Like, for fuck's sake.
So there you go. That is Horrify Showdown Series Episode 5. We went in a complete different direction at the end of this, but that's okay. The discussion is why we're here. You guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is kind of like a spur of the moment type thing, but I'm having a little bit of Chucky fever right now. So, like, you know what? Let's do a Chucky episode. Screw it. But bringing back a old segment that we did on the podcast in our early days last year and earlier this year. I thought this was pretty good. And next time we'll do this again, and we'll have different characters. What I might actually do, this is something that I actually wanted to do when we initially started this series, is that we would have a vote. Like we'll have like a vote up on Facebook, maybe on our page. I might actually revamp our Facebook page just so I can start doing these, these votes and these polls asking, because I want to be able to get the community's feedback and ideas in on this. I don't want it to just be us coming up with random ideas. I mean, that's what we're doing, but I want to include what other people want. So if somebody wants to do something like putting Chucky in the first Child's Play against Leatherface,
right?
I mean, we can imagine how that would go, but I mean, that's why you do the voting. We discuss it for you and discuss like, okay, this is who we think would win, and we go from there. So I think I'm going to start getting to work on that. Probably later tonight or tomorrow. I'm going to start revamping the Facebook page, get the proper titling on there, because right now we're still the C files on there. I still need to edit that, and might do polls. Start doing polls, and then we can go from there. And of course, Bacon, you're welcome to come on for that, because
of course
we were you were bringing up really good points, because it's been a long time since I've seen the Child's Play remake, so I don't remember everything about it. So bringing in people that know it better than I do. And plus, I mean, you got the name underneath you right now, the almighty Chucky champion. So you are the man to go to when it comes to
anybody Chucky. Want to come for it? Come on. No, I'm playing.
So, but this is fun. And I'm sorry that Kyle, if you're watching this, if you're listening to us, sorry that you got kicked out. I don't know what happened, man, but thank you for coming on. We really appreciate you coming on and supporting us.
Yeah, everyone go subscribe to Kyle. Everyone
yep.
Go subscribe
Flex
to
House
Kyle.
of Horror. Go support him. He's putting out a lot of great content. He just got 100 subscribers, so congratulations on that.
He just did a Rose Blood interview too.
Yep.
With some guys over there. So go check it out, guys.
He's also going to be doing another Rose Blood interview tomorrow, and then he has other stuff coming up, and so do we. We got more stuff. We're going to be doing more watch-alongs. Might be doing more miscellaneous topics, maybe a few live streams here and there. How about you, Bacon? What do you got coming up?
So tonight I'm filming top 5 movie trilogies. Still trying to get my Dexter episode 1 review out. Sunday is a Nightmare on Elm Street 3 watch party. And that's about it for so far. There's more coming out, but I'll announce that as the time comes.
Yeah. All right. So as for our viewers, who do you guys think would ultimately win in a fight? You got OG Chucky, a.k.a. Charles Lee Ray, or you got AI Chucky, voiced by Mark Hamill? Let us know in the comments. And with that all being said, thank you guys very much for tuning in. And until next time, my fellow investigators, remember, the entertainment is out there.